Dinner in Hell Band!
My God, so dynamic!
Oh, just constantly impressive. That is a podcast house band if I've ever heard one.
Just one dynamic after another with this band, and the audience combines.
Oh, they look incredible in here tonight. Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, a show where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, a true rebel, Ron Maiden.
That's right. It's the Dinner in Hell show. We try to bring you the history's atrocious underbelly on a weekly basis.
Yeah, that is what we do. Today, we've got an interesting episode, I think, and it might not seem too fucked up on the surface, but we've got a couple doozies in here for you.
Arctic exploration tales.
Yeah.
Which involve three heroes.
Yeah, these three gentlemen that we're going to discuss tonight have long and illustrious careers with a variety of spectacular and incredible failures.
One was in Parliament of Canada.
Yeah, well, that guy, it was an accident. You hear one survival scenario and two major fuck ups.
Yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Yeah, you can consider this the atrocious underbelly of Arctic exploration.
I had a listener contact us and be like, "What's your next show gonna be about?" I'm like, "Arctic exploration," and they're like, "Well, what? I thought you guys did evil stuff. Like, what's so bad about that?" And I'm like, "Frickin' one guy makes a frickin' tool out of his own poop, frozen poop, to survive."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Okay, got it, loud and clear." I'm like, checkmate.
What do you say we get into that gentleman first and foremost? We're talking about Peter Freuchen.
Peter Freuchen.
Let's go back February 2nd, 1886 to Denmark. Young Peter, born to a middle-class family. His father was a businessman. He was a really bright kid. He did really well in school. He went on to great educational achievements, studying medicine at the University of Copenhagen.
He's like, "I love chewing tobacco. I got me a freaking can at Copenhagen right here in my freaking sleeve, rolled up sleeve, man."
I don't know. He has class. I think he'd be a skull man.
He's like, "I only do Copenhagen. I'm Copenhagen proud." That's Freuchen.
Well, even as a young lad, Peter felt the call of the wild, the great, open, at that point largely unexplored vastness of the North, the Arctic.
He's reading Jack London novels.
Yeah, probably.
I'm going to get a pet wolf.
Wait, were those out by then?
I'm going to get me a pet wolf. You'll see. Was it White Fang?
White Fang.
Call of the Wild. This dude was a giant of a man.
Yes, he in his adulthood grew to be 6'7".
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your power forward at 6'7" out of Copenhagen.
Peter
Freuchen. What was the Bulls?
Was it the final countdown? Or was that the Pistons?
Right? Your Chicago Bulls.
It was the Pistons that did the final countdown, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. So we're talking about a giant 6'7", huge beard. Dude's coat was made out of polar bear.
Yeah, a polar bear that he killed himself.
Oh my God. I can only imagine.
Yeah, those things are fucking scary, man. Polar bears are like real murder machines for sure.
At the Toledo Zoo, you can get up and close to one. There's like, they come in like lay by the glass. Mm-hmm. And you can see just exactly how big their freaking hands and their paws are. What's it, the hoof? Is it the hoof? You know, the hoof, the hand, the paw? What's it called? The paw.
The paw? I suppose the paw is what I go
the paw.
with.
Okay, the paw.
Yeah, I've been very, very close to grizzly bears.
Down at your grandpa's grizzly farm?
It's not my grandpa, but yes, at a grizzly farm.
I was up there at the grizzly farm getting a jug of milk.
Not a grizzly farm like a bear bile farm, a place like a bear sanctuary is what I'm trying to say.
I was getting a jug of bile, picking up the bile for the week.
Yeah, I generally don't do that.
Man.
Yeah, but they were fucking huge and terrifying, and I know some polar bears are even bigger.
We should do a whole episode on bear bile recipes.
God damn.
That'd be a good one.
Like that would be way too depressing.
Dinner in Hell's Kitchen. Welcome back.
We do cooking recipes?
Yeah.
I think you're probably a little bit better cook than I am, maybe.
I just follow the recipe.
The rules?
Turns out good. I don't follow rules, bro. You know me.
Yeah, true rebel, Ron Maiden.
That's right. That's why I wear this leather.
The sunglasses on during the whole show, bold approach. I like it.
Lights are hot enough themselves, let alone bright. I got light sensitivity. He ended up being like this famous adventurer.
Yeah, he was like everybody knew who Peter Freuchen was. Like he was a badass, like world traveling fucking hero, like explorer. Explorers were dope at that period of time. There ain't that much shit to explore anymore. I mean, maybe when they finally get people on the way to Mars, we can have that sort of feeling again.
I remember seeing vintage freaking Peter Freuchen is my homeboy t-shirts where it shows Peter Freuchen with his beard and shit, and it's like Peter Freuchen is my homeboy. That was trendy for a while. That was like 1906 bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
At the nickel and dime.
He takes his first big expedition to Greenland, which is where most of his career is based, in 1906.
Where he discovers the beauty of Inuit women, is my guess. Dude, I read the notes. This guy like spent a lot of time in Greenland. He's like, I know all about the Inuit. Don't worry about it. Me and the Inuit, we go way back.
Yeah, I mean, he lived there for most of his time. He was living in Greenland in an Inuit community. I mean, that's where he based all of his shit off of. We're talking about voluntarily living somewhere where the average temperatures are negative 12 Fahrenheit. The average temperature all year is negative 12 Fahrenheit. And where there's like 6 months where like the sun basically doesn't come up at all.
My God, the other day I got in the car and it was 0.
Yeah. I had that same experience. -3 when I got in.
I was like, really?
It was bullshit. I was like shoveling snow in there. I mean, the staff doesn't come home with us, so they only do all the dirty work around here. I had to do it myself. It was bullshit. It was real cold. But that ain't -12. I'll take -2 is way better than -12.
The Dinner in Hell program is operated out of the northern hemisphere of North America. So we're in our winter right now, and it sucks. It's nothing like this guy, though.
No. I mean, we're talking about a place where he was living in a cabin so small that in the winter, the breath, his exhalations were freezing to the inside of the cabin. And like
the condensation.
Yeah, so inside of his cabin eventually was covered with a sheen of ice on every surface, just from him breathing. That's how cold the outside was, as it froze the moisture in his breath.
Yeah. That's crazy. It reminds me of something, but I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to. It's like off topic. But yeah.
Well, you were saying he loved the Inuit women, and in particular, he loved one Inuit woman whom he married in 1911.
But I had a feeling he was chasing all kinds of Inuit women around. Get over here.
Well, in his later life, he doesn't have a type. But he was his phase. Her name was Navarana, and this is my best shot, Makupaluk.
Perfect. I would say the same thing.
Nice. They had 2 children, and again, these are going to be my best shot. A boy named Makusak Avatak Igimak Susuk Torangwapaluk.
That is correct.
And a girl named Pipaluk Jete Tukumingwak Kasaluk Palika Hager.
Now,
that's my best try, and I'm never going to say him.
You said Pipaluk Jete. May I suggest Pipaluk Yete?
Sure.
Okay, well, let's move on. Well, so he was married to Navarana.
Yes, for a little while.
Okay.
After their children were born, she died of the flu.
My wife, she died. She died of a flu. That's all right. I have a new wife. That's Peter's accent.
Yeah.
He's like freaking from that region, Kazakhstan. Borat's region. I was doing Borat impression.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard Borat or not.
I did.
Did you think I was just doing Kazakh?
I thought it was just a general Kazakh.
I thought you had an ear for Kazakh.
Yeah, I knew it was. And I was thinking, I was like, well, he's from Denmark. Why is he giving me a Kazakh accent?
Oh, he's doing that Borat feller. That Borat fella.
Yeah, that wonderful fella.
Anyway, so Navarana died.
She did. Peter took the body of his beloved wife, to the church to bury after he had taken her back to Denmark, and the church was like, yeah, we're not burying that heathen in the churchyard, Freuchen.
He's like, what? You see how big I am, right? You realize I could tear you in half. I'm like the freaking... What's the giant guy on Game of Thrones?
The Mountain.
He's not going to tear your head off your shoulders.
Have you ever seen a picture of the Mountain with his brothers?
Mm-mm.
They're both taller than him.
Jesus.
He's like got his arms like up on their shoulders. Like they must be like, one's probably like 3, one's probably like 5 inches taller than him. It's insane.
So
I feel like if I went to Iceland, I'd probably fucking get stepped on.
So the church says we're not going to bury her in a cemetery. God damn it.
So what does Freuchen do about that?
He's like, all right, no problem. Give me the shot. You guys got a spade I can borrow?
Mm-hmm.
Toss it over here. Maybe I'll give it back. Maybe I won't. But I'm going to bury my wife myself. That's a direct quote from Freuchen's diary.
I thought it was an audio recording.
No, that was me. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He buried her himself. Baller move. I respect it.
Right. You got to bury your own spouse, you guys. You're not a true freaking spouse unless you bury your own. Whoever dies first, you got to bury that freaking other spouse.
Yeah, I told Mrs. the Impaler if she can get away with it, just dump me in the river.
Yeah.
Whatever's cheap. Whatever's the cheapest, because I'm not going to give a shit.
I told my family I wanted to be scattered at a certain spot that I know that they'll love to go to. Like, treat them to a vacation in Florida. Like, go to Sanibel Island.
Do something nice for yourself.
There's a trail. I want to be scattered there. Just so I know they'll have a nice, beautiful, hot vacation.
I've had a series of wills where I've wanted my funeral to be conducted as a roast.
Yeah. I would like to do a roast of somebody.
Yeah, nobody could get their feelings hurt because I'm not going to care, but it would just be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I wanted clowns to be there because I thought that would be funny. Like, just to make everyone uncomfortable who came to my funeral.
I want juggalos at my funeral. I don't want a funeral. I just want to like have like a.
You just want to have a party with juggalos?
Just like a gathering of juggalos, like with bands and stage, like Tila Tequila can come out.
Maybe they'll have a live podcast stage. Just saying.
Juggalo podcast and wrestling. During World War II, Freuchen was actively involved in the Danish resistance movement.
Yeah, he would straight up hide refugees and shit. He actively fought the Nazis, the occupying Nazis. This dude is a badass.
So they're out looking for this giant man, and he ended up escaping Denmark, right?
Oh, yeah. He was...
Like the Nazis never caught him.
He was captured and imprisoned.
Oh, he broke...
Yeah, he broke out and fled to Sweden. On top of that, before that, he was also elected to Parliament in Denmark as a social democrat. I mean, this dude has an incredible life. There's no way to get around that. However, we're here to talk about one specific, basically 2-day period in Mr. Freuchen's life. During one expedition north from his already north as fuck base camp in Greenland, he got caught in a blizzard. He was on a dog sled, right?
Yeah.
So in order to try and shield himself from the blizzard, he took his dog sled. I guess the dogs are on their own now. And he flips it over and tries to take shelter underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It's the roof. The sled.
Yeah, it's the roof. He's trying to not be snowed to death by being balanced underneath the sled. But the thing is the blizzard's so bad, and it's so fucking cold. I mean, we're talking about a place where, you can get down into the negative fucking 50s and shit.
I thought he was dumped on by an avalanche. That's what I pictured it. I never realized it was probably just an awful freaking storm.
Yeah, he like set up to try and protect himself.
Yeah, I thought it was like, here it comes. Like, he's getting buried, him and the dogs.
Functionally, I don't know if there's that much of a difference between a blizzard and an avalanche, but I don't know if there's any mountains there.
Okay.
Like, I think it's pretty flat.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's going on.
I've never been to the North Pole, so I'm not...
Me neither. I would like to. Not really, but I'd like to go to maybe, like, Norway or something.
Definitely.
Well, so the snow's coming down, and remember the breathing in his cabin earlier? I'm sure that played into it, as well as his own body heat. But he's underneath the sled, but that doesn't stop the sled from getting completely buried in snow, which then freezes near him and becomes basically an impenetrable wall of ice.
Oh, because the cabin had an icy lining.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing going down, except he's in, well, basically a Freuchen-sized coffin of ice.
Tomb?
Yeah, Ice Tomb.
Yeah.
There's another great metal band name.
Ice Tomb. Coming to Harpo's, Detroit, Michigan. 99-cent pictures of Molson Ice.
Yeah, I'd go see Ice Tomb.
Fully lit parking lot.
New fence.
Well-armed parking attendants. Watchdogs.
You just have to get to Harpo's early so you can park right in front. That's the deal.
Ugh, just don't go. Never mind. They might be a sponsor. Who knows? We'll be doing freaking...
Are they closed? I haven't even...
I don't know.
It's been a while.
It was for sale. Harpo's Concert Theater was for sale. Like, people were like, dude, we got to get our money together, Mom.
That was not a bad place to see a show.
Come on.
I liked Harpo's.
Stop it.
I have great memories at the IROC, too.
You like Metal Blade bands? I'm just kidding. Metal Blade.
I'm trying to think. I
think Guar was on Metal Blade or something. Okay.
Like Unearth and shit like that?
I don't know. So he's trapped in his own icy tomb.
Yeah, he's trying to get out. Even using his bare hands, he cannot do any damage to this ice. The next thing he tries is he's got a bear skin with him that's frozen solid. He tries that to use that to dig at the ice, and he's getting nowhere.
How long is he in this thing?
Well, he comes to his solution after 30 hours freezing in this fucking ice prison chamber.
Scotty. Oh, don't get me started.
Ask my solicitor about it. So you may be wondering, well, we said it already earlier. He uses his own shit to escape.
What?
Yeah.
He craps.
Correct.
He molds it. He doesn't just have the way that his shit is sculpted coming out naturally. He has to mold it and shape it into a tool form.
Yes,
for this to work.
Precisely what he does.
So now he's got poopy hands.
Yep. Hopefully he doesn't have any face itches
poopy
for the rest of his like chain. Well, I mean, you could probably get most of it as ice. It's water. It'll melt. You can kind of wash it off.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Then you're just surrounded by shitty ice.
His polar bear jacket's probably gonna have to go to dry cleaners. All I gotta say. He's probably wiping his fingers like he just ate Cheetos. Brown Cheetos.
The worst was when people do that and then like grab your Nintendo controller and be like, motherfucker.
Did you hear about the guy who went to the doctors? And he said, doctor, there's something going on. He's like, what is it? And he's like, well, my penis is turning orange. And the doctor said, well, what the heck? Is something you've been doing anything different? What's going on? What have you been doing? He goes, I've just been watching porno and eating Cheetos. Thanks for... Okay, now that was an appropriate rim shot. Mm-hmm. I didn't write the joke, but the rim shot was well timed. Thank you, Dinner in Hell Band.
Always right on their spot. So with this, he made a knife and was able to dig himself out. After which, he had a grueling 3-mile walk back to his base camp.
If you think about it, that's good that he made it to base camp. When you think about it, he made his poop tool, so freaking strong to chip away ice. Mm-hmm. He could essentially murder someone with his own poop. Like, if I could only...
Yeah.
But he wasn't a murderer. He was freaking... This guy was in Parliament, you guys. Don't forget. Lest we forget.
Yeah, he seemed to have a long and illustrious career. You don't see a lot of bad stuff about him anywhere.
I was researching Freuchen prior to my commute here. And there was this quote of his that he was describing like how he came up with the idea. And he basically was saying along the lines of that he always remembered his dog shit from the dog sled. Their dog shit would always be frozen to the dog sled rails like a rock.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, well, why wouldn't that work with human? You know?
Sound logic.
Yeah. So he ends up doing it. He ends up crapping. Mm-hmm. He forms it like a chisel. This instrument. It's a chisel-like instrument.
Yeah. A chisel. Perfect tool for the job.
And he also mentions how he didn't rush it. Like, he took his time, waited. He wanted to wait till it was rock solid. He didn't want to like ruin his precious freaking shitzel.
Fools rush in.
You like that shitzel? Shitzel.
That's perfect.
I just came up with that on the spot.
Yeah, that's perfect.
The writers did not even pass that note to me at all.
Yeah, we could probably patent that.
Shitzel. Oh, shit.
Shizzle.
Shizzle? That's a terrifying image for a Twitter image. The shitzel. Brought to you by Dinner in Hell Tools.
The shitzel.
The $5 shitzel.
Only 5 easy payments of $5.99. The shitzel mold can be yours.
So Freuchen arrives at the base camp. He's like, my foot's been bothering me, you guys.
Yeah, I think
someone
maybe
look at this.
Got a blister or something.
Can someone look at my foot?
Yeah, well, he got back to the base camp, popped them boots off, and noticed that his toes were gangrenous.
Gangrenous? What stage is that?
That's just when you got gangrene.
That's when it's like dead?
Yeah, it's done for.
And never coming back.
Never coming back.
So you got to get it off you.
Got to get it off you, because if you don't, it just spreads and spreads and spreads. Eventually it gets to a main part of you. Part where if you can't lop it off anymore, if it's past your extremities.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get this thing amputated. I know it's coming.
Yep. So much like myself, Mr. Freuchen was a teetotaler. No alcohol, even.
That was going to be going deep moment.
Oh, okay.
No. Let this naturally unfold. That could have been. I had that saved for a going deep moment, Brad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I didn't know what that was. I had to Google it.
Oh.
So I didn't know if it was common knowledge. So I was really like, going deep moment, friggin' teetotaler means someone doesn't drink alcohol. So this guy, back then, in order to amputate your foot, they would friggin' give you like a fifth of wild turkey.
I mean, I'm sure they had more sophisticated techniques than that, but he didn't have them in Greenland.
Yeah.
In Greenland, anesthesia probably means liquor. And lots of it.
It's just blubber liquor. They can make it out of fermented blubber. Blubber hooch.
Yeah, probably. I don't know what the hell they were drinking, but I'm sure they had something.
Man, sometimes people, when I do that voice, they're like, "Hey, you from Greenland?" I'm like, "No, man, this blubber hooch." They're like, "That sounds so like Greenland, man." That accent I just did.
Yeah, it's dead on.
Yeah.
Dead on.
You know, I watch a lot of Greenland programs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the method that Mr. Freuchen decided to use to do this himself was with a big pair of like pliers or pincers and a hammer. Just pop them little piggies right off with extreme prejudice. That sounds very bad to me. That sounds like a worse situation than I ever want to encounter.
I read that a standard Eskimo remedy to stop gangrene was by peeling the flesh and muscles off the toes. I'm sorry, did I not give a heads up to our listeners? That's rough.
Well, my question for that is, how is that saving anything?
So you're looking at skeletal bones. And then
amputate.
Smash the bones, I guess.
Motherfucker.
That's what I'm thinking with a hammer.
Good God.
The pincers would scrape the meat off, and the hammer would. That's my dinner in hell fantasy.
So I'm thinking you put the pincer on, and then you hit the pincer with the hammer, and it pops the toe off at once.
That's enough. But yeah, I was thinking, pincers are for the skin removal. You're thinking of like get a real good clank.
And then just one swing. That's how I would do it if I had to. I certainly wouldn't be scraping it all off and then smashing the bones. Jesus Christ.
It's all part.
That sounds like worse than anything we've ever talked about on this show.
Dinner in Hell Fantasy. Hey, maybe I should have my own episode of like my imaginary.
The worst murders or the worst torture devices we can imagine.
No, we'll just make up a fake subject.
I think we might get FBI guests at our studio.
Somewhere in our 2018 season or batch of episodes, there will be one fake subject that we totally wrote. You're going to have to decide. Your free t-shirt.
Mail us and like a 123 Neverland Street. Yeah, but that is Freuchen's, that's what happened. That's what he did. Good God, is it terrible.
We gave Freuchen like a half an hour, so we got 2 more people. Mm-hmm. That means we got we're going to get these 2 in another half hour. So, people, we're going to try to get ripping.
First up, William Stevenson.
But there wasn't there some crazy spelling? It was like...
Yeah, later on, he would go by Vilhjalmur Stephenson.
Oh, can't we just say that?
I'd rather say William Stevens.
All right.
That was the name when he was born.
We're talking Manitoba born?
He's
William Stevenson?
born in Manitoba.
Ah, I love hacky.
Yeah.
Hacky?
Hacky? No, I think they would say like hockey.
I love hockey, eh?
Yeah.
Check it out.
We say hockey.
Hockey.
They make fun of us. For
you gotta watch this game of hockey.
I've played the sport a bit up there. And they make fun of the way we say hockey. They definitely do. They say it like hockey. Get a game of hockey, eh?
Like Chong.
My go-to for a Canadian is Bob or Doug McKenzie.
I thought you were doing Chong from Cheech and Chong. He was born to Icelandic immigrants in 1879.
Almost immediately moving to North Dakota. I don't know what got fouled up in Manitoba, but they went down to America, down in North Dakota. Beautiful country.
They're like, can we at least go to South Dakota? He's like, no, I like North.
I don't want another person within 100 miles of me at any given moment.
Why did William Stevenson move to North Dakota? Because he hated neighbors. Well, because he hated neighbors.
All of a sudden, it's not sounding so bad to me either.
Come on, BT.
We could build a compound out there, start a cult or something.
BT was at a restaurant. Someone asked him if he was BT from Dinner in Hell. So now BT's weirded out.
All the press has been really intimidating.
So now he's looking to relocate to North Dakota. So the man was an intelligent man.
Indeed. He also excelled educationally, eventually even attending graduate school in anthropology at Harvard University.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a North Dakota kid, born Manitoba way.
He would study the Inuit folks of the North, correct?
Yes, eventually that's what his main sort of work was, is studying the Inuit cultures. He discovered, I guess, if you want to say discovered, but he was the first person to write about what they call the blonde Eskimos.
Blonde Eskimos.
Yeah, he preferred the term copper Inuit. That was what he called them, but they're Eskimos with light hair colors.
Cool.
Yeah, so eventually, he was extremely successful, but early on, he was not a great explorer like Freuchen, who appeared to be a natural.
Yeah.
He attempted a North Pole expedition in 1913 that really was not a good look. Right out of the gate, he bought just a dog shit boat for the trip. We're talking a boat that the Navy had condemned as unsuitable for the seas in any way. He's like, you know what? I'll take it, and I'm going to the most treacherous sea in the world.
What a dumbass. This guy went to Harvard?
Doesn't seem like it, am I right?
Oh, my God.
He didn't go to... Harvard has really bad sailing school, I guess, because he don't know shit.
If I'm going to the North Pole, I'm going to want the frickin' Santa Maria, dude, at least. I want something durable.
Well, like a nuclear sub or something.
Like, not the Nina. Nina was nice, is good at maneuvering, but the Santa Maria was the shit as far as durability for the northern water.
But the Pinto had the best sound system.
Correct. Yeah, well, that nice cedar helped.
Well, so he had this shit boat, and he had it worked on for months, but that failed to convince anybody that this thing was going to make it there. Real shitty boat. I don't know. I don't think I can hammer that point home enough. Really bad boat. So a problem that he ran into is he couldn't find people who were qualified to operate that boat that would do it, because anybody who knew half a fuck about sailing would take one look at this boat and say, thanks, but no thanks. I don't feel like dying right now.
Yeah, they knew better. But there were other people that worked on the docks that like helped unload boats and shit that were around.
Yeah, like, hey, I've been near a boat a lot.
I've seen one of them boats before.
And he'd be like, welcome aboard, Captain. Yeah, his crew was basically just randos. Just like regular people that were walking around. Yeah.
He's like doing Craigslist.
Yes, that would be a boat staffed by Craigslist if this expedition were taking place today.
Expedition looking for crew, winter clothes supplied.
Oh, yes. He did tell everybody, all that extra special cold weather gear that you're going to need, don't worry about that. Just wear like your regular coats and boots and shit. I got the tough stuff.
Wear what you got on. Don't worry about it. It's real lax. It's real comfortable.
Yeah.
It's real chill.
Yeah, he once called the North Pole, or the Arctic more in general, a friendly place to live for the man with the correct temperament. Which is not true.
Hell no.
Yeah, so after a while, this crew sailing in the Arctic... Yeah, I mean, they made it there against all odds because the steering had broken twice on trips between ports and warm water. And they made it there, but as soon as they got there, the ship was frozen hopelessly in ice. They were not getting out until, the seasons changed.
Spring.
Shit. Yeah. Now, the crew starts to turn on each other, and things get tense, as you can imagine. No help's coming. And he basically pulls the old going out for cigarettes trick. He's like, if he's talking to the captain like it's his kid, he's like, listen, little Johnny, you're going to be the man of this boat now. I'm going to go out and get a pack of smokes. I'll be right back. And he just never came back. He just left, took his gun, fucking all his warm shit, and just dipped and started making his way back to civilization by himself. The reason he did this...
An asshole.
Yeah. The captain was pretty sure that he knew this was going to happen, and that's why he left, and he just didn't want the burden of having to be responsible for other people. The ship was soon taken by the ice floes moving. So you're trapped in a big chunk of the ice. That big chunk is moving, and you can't do shit about it.
Yeah.
It's going to go where it wants you to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a total disaster. I mean, some took refuge on an island north of Siberia that we'll come back to in a minute here, and some were rescued by an American fishing ship.
Okay. Nicely delivered.
Yeah, but half the crew fucking died because this guy's an idiot. This wasn't his last bite at the apple either. He led another expedition to the small island that some of his men sheltered on in Siberia. I mean, it doesn't seem like Siberia and sailing north from Canada are that close, but they are. They're right next to each other, basically.
Yeah. You can see Russia from Canada? You imagine? I'm pretty sure you can.
Well, I mean, I think if you're standing... Unlike the North Pole, it's probably the same distance to go to Siberia as it is to Canada.
Oh, okay. I think you can see Russia from Canada.
Yeah, so he wants to go back to this island, and his original idea is to claim it for the Canadian government. Canada, understandably pissed because this dummy had soiled their good name with his last expedition, was like, no, we are not sponsoring your bullshit anymore. So he asked the British next. He's like, I know. I'll claim the island for the British. And they were like, fuck are you thinking? That's an acknowledged Russian territory. No, you can't claim this island in the name of the British. Because he was dumb. He did it anyway. He sent an expedition to this island. And, mind you, full of completely incompetent people, again. And they raised the British flag on the island anyway, causing an international incident because Russia is like, you don't fucking raise another country's flag on our shit, dumbass.
Oh, my God. Harvard grad.
Yeah, so they ring up England,
What's this guy doing?
Yeah, what's this asshole? You send this asshole? And then Britain's got to be like, we don't know this guy. We don't know how he got that flag.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, he's not one of us. We're sorry. We didn't do it. We don't mean it. It's totally Russia's island.
He's a shit explorer. He sucks.
But, I mean, shit gets tense. They still fight over shit like that when like Japan and China will bicker over these tiny little islands that are nothing, but they're just like dick measuring contests between the two of them.
Would you like to hear any of Stevens's quotes?
Sure, lay some on me.
I've got a couple that are kind of good. Just like our Brendan Fraser moment on the mummification episode.
Oh, okay.
A land may be said to be discovered the first time a European, presumably an Englishman, sets foot on it. He's just trying to get a job and shit. He's probably talking to the King of England or the Prime Minister. He's like, look, let me explore this. It's not discovered unless a Brit. Am I right?
I see that maybe. I think maybe it's just evidence of blatant racism.
And how?
Yeah, I mean, he's a Canadian who spent his entire youth in America, born to Icelandic parents, and somehow he's like, England are the only people worthy of discovering things. It sounds like by European, he doesn't necessarily mean from Europe. He means of European descent.
Son of a bitch turning his back on Canada like that. There are two kinds of Arctic problems, the imaginary and the real. Of the two, the imaginary are the most real.
I get what he's saying.
I think he's experimenting.
Like some weird Arctic mushrooms or something?
Yeah, the imaginary are the most real.
See, I know what he's trying to get to. He's trying to say you can't be afraid of everything. You got to just deal with reality. But that's a dumb fucking way to say it because it doesn't mean that. Real is real and imaginary is imaginary. Imaginary things can't be more real than real. Like internal logic is inconsistent and it infuriates me. Again, Harvard must not have been that good when he went there.
My final Stevenson quote is a doozy. The philosophers of the Middle Ages demonstrated both that the earth did not exist and also that it was flat. Today, they are still arguing about whether the world exists, but they are no longer dispute about whether it is flat. This was said in 1927. It was like, listen.
Well, things got a little bit worse since you left.
Man, you have no idea, Mr. Stevenson.
Yeah, just for the record, the Earth is an oblate spheroid. We've known that for like fucking 8,000 years. This is a done thing. I won't hear any of this bullshit, and anybody who believes there's a flat Earth, please, just read just a little bit. Thank you.
Send us your theory on a $100 bill written in erasable ink.
Write it on a globe.
All right.
So we're talking about this island, right? The things weren't over after the incident. These people were supposed to stay there, and then a ship comes back for them. Well, they were. Remember how I told you they didn't know what they were doing?
Right.
Yeah, they all died there. I mean, they were just randos who kind of wanted to try it. I mean, the only survivors of that exhibition were an Inuit woman named Ada Blackjack that they had hired in Nome, Alaska as a seamstress, and also the cat they had brought along, Vic. The cat and the Inuit woman survived. The 4 men who went on the trip all died.
It just shows you the strength of a woman.
Yeah, she taught herself survivor skills, like to survive in the fucking wilderness of this terrible island, as she was caring for the last man from the trip that was alive. And once he died, she was alone for, I believe, 1.5 years with the cat until the rescue ship showed up.
Like, let me tell you how to smoke a moose carcass. It's the only way you're gonna get. You don't have no refrigerator out here, ma'am.
Yeah, it's probably like seals.
You're gonna have to smoke it.
Narwhals.
Gotta grab it by the horn,
Yank
wrestle it onto the shore. Fucking narwhals. I thought when I brought up the Stevenson quotes, I thought we were done with Stevenson. I didn't realize there was the Survivor story. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I wanted to get Ada and Vic in there. That's just a cool little bit that they made it out.
Okay.
Yeah, but he went on to have a successful ass career too. He even served as the president of the Explorers Club, which was like a fancy fucking club for explorers.
He sucked at it too.
But he got a little bit better, I think, later on. Or he just did the studying and let everybody else up to it.
He made it to town from the boat or the island that the guys are trapped on.
Yeah, and I mean, we're making fun of him.
First try.
Yeah, we're making fun of him, but there's a Stephenson library at Dartmouth that, like, honors. People remember him fondly. I think I would have never let him have another chance after these two fuck-ups, because they are severe. The third of our Arctic explorers in this episode, we're going to be talking about a gentleman named Adolphus Greely.
You talking about the Civil War veteran?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
He was an army man. He was chosen to lead an expedition to the Arctic to take climate measurements and establish a series of encampments for that purpose by the United States Army.
He's like being punished. Like he did something bad. They're like, all right, this is enough. This is called the thermometer. This is going to tell you the temperature. But here's the thing. You're going north.
Yep, and you're going to have to do that 500 times a day.
And also, then one more thing. You're an asshole. Like he's shunned.
Well, he did have a reputation. And that was a reputation as an extremely strict disciplinarian and a real by-the-book type of guy. No fun.
Gag me.
Yeah, this sounds like this is like a no fun type of dude. We're talking like the drill sergeant in Stripes.
Like if you have
Sergeant Hulka.
Or if you work in an environment where you have a manager and that manager just sucks.
Yeah, it just like drains everything.
Let's just make Adolphus Greely just a fucking villain.
I'm cool with that.
So he's already been sentenced to this northern temperature 500 time a day reader.
Yep, and you'll notice some similarities with Mr. Stephenson's escapades, in which he had a very limited and inexperienced pool of soldiers to recruit for this mission. They were mostly cavalrymen. They'd never been on the sea in their lives, almost none of them.
Just horseback?
Yeah, that's what they did in the army. They're Arctic on an Arctic exhibition on a sea ship.
Like, how cold does it get? They keep getting more north and more north. Like, it gets cold, bro. Should have wore a fur coat.
Mm-hmm. I heard about this Freuchen dude. He's got this polar bear on his bitching. So they set sail anyways. When the army tells you you're sailing, I guess you're sailing.
I heard about this Freuchen dude in 16 years.
This dude in a DeLorean flew down and told me all about it.
Freuchen was 1906.
Yeah.
This is 1881, right?
Correct.
That's good. See, Ron Maiden, freaking sharp mind. Age 24, got a sharp mind, drug-free body.
Triple X. Them sailing on the Proteus up to the Arctic is very successful. They make it there with no problem, although they do fail one of their side quests, which is to try and locate the USS Jeanette, a ship that had been sent to the same place 2 years prior and had never been seen again.
It's the first ship named after a waitress from Denny's, the Jeanette. Welcome aboard the Jeanette. There's a picture of a waitress from Denny's with like a freaking...
Y'all want the moons over my hammy?
You want a skillet? Sausage egg skillet? You ever had a skillet?
Chomping on gum.
You want the country skillet? You ever remember late nights at Denny's getting chicken fingers and shit?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the specific Denny's that we hung out with was like every night. Like if I went there, it was a weird thing. Before that, like I could get into bars. I could guarantee that if I went to this Denny's or a different Coney Island that was near me, I would know at least 7 or 8 people in there easily.
Great times, wasn't it? Great times of your life, yeah.
Yep. The one over here we called Punk Rock Denny's.
We had Punk Rock Denny's and we
PRDs.
We had Freak Denny's too.
Which one? I'll ask you off mic later. We'll talk about Freak Denny's.
I think Freak Denny. Yeah.
The other one was DCI. That's where I hung out a lot.
Stone River Coney?
Yeah. Drinking coffee and smoking lots of cigarettes.
Clove.
Sometimes.
The Jeanette.
Oh, yeah. They didn't find that. As far as I know, they're still looking. But talk about how daunting it is when it's like, oh, by the way, see if you can find the last people we sent, because we never heard from them doing the same thing you're about to do. So if you keep an eye out for them, good on you.
Yeah. Doesn't
sound like hopeful. But, it went well. They were able to make a few this inexperienced crew discovered shit. Like, they were like, no, look at this. We're the first people ever to map this coastline. Like, they were accomplishing shit. It was going kind of good at first.
We're going to call those white bears.
Mm-hmm.
It's called polar bear, you dick.
They already know about those.
God damn it. Read a book.
And they were able to get started on their primary mission by establishing their base camp, which they called Fort Conger on Ellesmere Island, off the northwest coast of Greenland. So we're talking way up there. And in fairness to Mr. Adolphus Greeley, other folks are the genesis of this fuck up. Consecutive, 2 of them, supply ships failed to show up to Fort Conger and deliver supplies like they were expecting. So they're stuck there for the winter. And again, winter on the north edge of Greenland, we're talking temperatures that hit 60 below Fahrenheit. We're talking 6 months, basically, of darkness.
Dang.
And, this is 1881. They don't have shit. They're, dressed in wool and fur. That's it.
Yeah.
There ain't no Gore-Tex.
Tauntaun.
Yeah, I believe this was before the Tauntauns went extinct.
Yeah.
So even after the mission was clearly blown up by the supply ships not coming, he forced his men still to take more than 500 separate climate measurements every single day, and he forbade leisure during the daytime. So whatever hours were they'd set for daytime, which was the same as nighttime, so there's no difference, they weren't even allowed to lay down. Yeah, or rest in any way. They had to still keep doing these dumb jobs, knowing that they weren't even getting the numbers back to anybody. So eventually there comes a crossroads. I mean, they threaten even a revolt against Greeley, because they're making the enlisted men do all the officers' chores and shit like that. And they're like, that shit might fly down in Tennessee or fucking wherever, but it sure as fuck isn't going to happen when there's 30 of us, 3 of you. And eventually he had to threaten them all that if anyone obeyed disobeyed his orders for even a second, they were going to be executed. Yeah, sounds like a real dick. Because he still kept making them do the officers' laundry and shit like that. And I don't even want to imagine what doing laundry is like in the Arctic when you're living in a wood and tar paper shack.
So when we began Greeley, we decided to paint the picture of the villain of the episode, and it turns out he's a total asshole.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have to try too hard.
Greeley's grandson's listening right now and going, God dang, you know what? He's really nice.
Yeah,
he was nice.
He used to bring my great-grandma flowers every day when he wasn't stuck in the Arctic. Yeah, well, anyways, so eventually he has a choice to make. The contingency orders from the Army are, in the event of no supplies coming to you at this point in time, you need to take all your men, get them into 5 tiny little boats, and sail far as fuck to this other completely desolate and barren supply outpost. Supply being in question, quotation
It's
marks.
called a supply outpost.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it contains supplies.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, see, the reason this is a tough decision is because Fort Conger, they're staying warm. There's game everywhere to hunt. They're having no problem getting enough food to live off of. But, I mean, we remember he's a by-the-book motherfucker. So what do you think he did?
No, I don't know.
He loaded up the men into the 5 tiny boats with 40 days worth of rations and set sail through, I believe, the most treacherous seas on Earth to go to a complete question. He had no information about this place.
Did you watch Lost, the TV show?
I saw the first 3 seasons.
This is making me think of Lost, man.
Except it's not in a beautiful climate.
Right, but like the premise of Lost.
It's like worse Lost.
Like Lost. The guy had to type the numbers in the computer at a certain amount of time and reset the clock. Remember?
Yeah.
37, 3, 42, 16.
Or something would happen.
Yeah. So like he's making these guys take these temperatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's leading them to some unknown thing. Like my ass Jack, who's like too macho, leading them to like some other thing. It's like Lost is like,
oh, we got your ass.
Got you, JJ. JJ, we're on to you.
We know your game.
Freaking JJ listened to our show in his time machine because he's part of like Illuminati probably by now. Mm-hmm. He's in the Illuminati club, the time travel club, and he listened to Dinner in Hell in the Future after our show gets really huge.
Oh, and he heard us call him out, and then he's like, holy shit, I probably made something based off of that story. Then he does it.
Yeah.
Man, he owes us some money, and he's got
freaking JJ.
Big-ass money.
No, he listened to our episode explaining this Greeley. Goes back in time, makes...
Lost. He owes us some money.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly. You're fucking right, Brad.
Yeah, I know he listens too. So when we get together for our squash on Tuesdays like we usually do.
Volleyball.
Yeah, I'm going to expect a check.
Volleyball and dinner. Cool.
So if you'll remember, we said they brought with them in these rickety-ass bullshit boats 40 days worth of rations. Well, you know how long the journey took?
600 days.
It took 51 days.
Oh. So they're eating like the paddles.
So, well, by the time they get there, they've already eaten everything they brought with them. It's all gone already. So, and Greeley, I mean, talk about being a hypocrite from his orders before. As soon as he left, it seems like he got really depressed because he would just lie in his sleeping bag all day long. He wouldn't even get up after they set sail. He was threatening to murder people for that just like a month prior.
Greeley.
Yeah, come on, Greeley.
He's losing it.
You got if you're gonna be a strict rules guy, you gotta at least fucking play by them.
Yeah, no gray area.
Well, so everything's gone, all of their supplies, and they arrive at this supply depot, and there's nothing there. There are no supplies. They've already used everything they've got. So they can't even sail back to Fort Conger because they'll never survive the trip.
Yeah.
So now the crew's stuck at this new supply depot.
With nothing.
They ain't got shit. There was not even game to hunt around there. It was more desolate than where they were just at. They were fucked.
Mm-hmm.
8 months go by before a ship visits that supply depot.
So what'd they eat?
Where Greeley and his men were at.
How'd they survive?
Well, when they found them, the men were actually at that moment in time eating their own shoes.
God damn it.
And 8 months is a long time. They'd have been out of shoes if that was the only thing they were eating. What they were eating, as you may guess, were their fellow crew members as they died alive rugby team style.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Cannibalism.
After like
happening.
After like 4th month, they got like this great, awesome recipes. This is what you got to do. First, you're gonna melt some snow. Then you're gonna cook a little thigh. All right, nice and brown. You're gonna brown it.
Thin slices. Pretend it's prime rib.
Yeah, you got a thin slice of that thigh. Then you take that snow and melt it just right. Pretend that snow is butter. And then you got that buttery freaking thigh meat. Oh, 4th month in, that's a delicacy.
Yeah, I mean, if you get hungry enough, you'll eat anything.
I think I would try the cheeks of the face.
It probably is.
Not the ass cheeks, the face cheeks.
Yeah, like pig face. I know people like to eat.
I hate to tell you this, Brad, but to be honest, if it was you and me, don't think that your corpse would lay there with cheek muscles intact. I would probably eat cheek muscles.
Yeah, I'd probably eat yours too.
That's supposed to be the best part of like any animal.
Yeah, it's like so tender.
So if I'm gonna eat human, I'm going for the best part.
I know,
like
but
medallions.
See, I still think I would have a hard time like going that leap.
Yeah.
Like I had a hard time eating sushi for the first time.
I
don't know. I mean, I imagine I'd have a hard time if I couldn't eat raw fish. I imagine cooked human wouldn't be that much better. I'd get down to it, but see, I'd want to save the juiciest bit for last because if all the rest of human I had to eat was worse than the first bite, it's still going to be even harder to get through.
I'd be afraid to fall asleep and be like, I'm not dead, you assholes. Like they're already sawing into your foot and shit. You're like, I was sleeping.
I got a fun book where that happens. I can recommend to you.
They thought you were dead. I don't read books, man. You think I'm going to read a book?
I happen to know for a fact you've read at least 3 books.
I've read probably 20 books. I like books. I just don't read right now. I'm in a Call of Duty phase. I can't read. How can I read when I have like World War II machine guns at my hand?
Prestige mode after prestige mode to get.
I'm about to prestige to level 3 next time I play.
Nice.
Thanks for fucking. Oh God. Anyways.
It's all right. I'm like level 200 on Overwatch or something.
Did you see that movie Ravenous?
No.
Oh, yeah. It's like this kind of era. Mm-hmm. And these guys, they get so hungry that they start to eat each other. And then they're like ravenous, like wolves. And, you know, the principal from Ferris Bueller?
Mm-hmm.
He is...
I believe he's like a child molester?
You got it. Episode on him coming. No, I'm just kidding. He is in it. He's like one of the main guys. He's like
yeah?
Insane, yeah. Like, I want to say that become like zombie-like, like the werewolf kind. Like, they want to eat more human, you know? Once they eat it once, they want more.
Yeah, there's like an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia about that.
Oh, okay. So that's what they're like referencing?
Yeah.
Cool. Frickin' Arctic exploration. I learned a lot today. Yeah, it was a fun one.
One badass and a couple of morons.
I know some of our listeners out there probably have a friend that likes to go traveling and like, I want to visit every national park. This would be a good episode for them. Pass us on to them.
Yeah, they'd probably dig this one. If you hear that call of the wild north themselves and then learn what it's like, and they can know better than to ever go there.
What did we learn? We learned Peter Freuchen was a tall man. Could have played basketball. Who knows? He could have had a nice career in basketball if basketball was invented then.
Yeah, he's sort of like, I imagine, he's about the same size as LeBron James, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got Stevenson, who was a Harvard student.
And just a shitty explorer.
He studied the Inuit, but he never studied exploring.
Yeah.
He's like, I know all about their customs. I know what they wear, what they eat.
Getting there,
I don't know how to live there, though.
Yeah.
Hey, I just know the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. I don't know north, man. Shit.
Yeah.
I got a compass. I don't know.
It's a good North Dakota.
I could teach you some anthropology, lessons. I do have a degree in that from Harvard.
Harvard.
And then what else? Greeley turned out to be the ugly duckling of the three. He was the one that was like the dickhead boss. Yep.
Yeah, he was a good douchebag, seems like.
Yeah.
Real dick about, like, making people do other people's laundry and shit. I think when you're in the Arctic, you should kind of just get on one team. That's probably a smarter move.
So if you know a douchebag out there, tag them, tweet them at us.
Or you can, make it a meme. Be like, hey, you're being a real greely right now.
Don't greely my vibe here, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna need those TPS reports. Yeah.
Oh, my boss is such a greely.
Definitely gonna need those TPS reports. Get the memo. Oh, this frickin' audience, though.
Just gorgeous.
The band?
Dynamic.
I was gonna say that.
They're just full of dynamism.
The ratings and reviews on iTunes are through the roof, and we can't get thank you people enough. It's like the new thing is for everyone to just rush there after they listen to us. They all like to they want their voice heard.
Everybody's doing it.
It's great to see too. It makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for listening. You got an idea of some shit you want us to talk about? We're down to take suggestions. Best way to hit us up is on Twitter at dinnerandhellpod. Twitter not your thing? Email us at dinnerandhellpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. We're on there probably too much, so that's a great place to discuss shit with us. I mean, you could find us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, fucking Pod Nugget, whatever. You name it, you Google for it. We're on that shit.
Pod Basket.
Podtacular.
Pod Trisket. Pod Trasket. I don't know. Thank you, man. Thank you, audience. Thank you, Brad.
Good night.
Right. Woo! Peter Frykin. Welcome to the show, Peter Frykin. How are you? Good to see you. And your one leg.
Feels good to be here amongst my many accomplishments.
You are an enormous man.
Thank you. I believe that's a compliment.
You are an enormous man, and I believe your coat did you buy that? Did you make it?
No, as a matter of fact, it was a February afternoon. I had gone dog sledding north from our base camp in Greenland.
Man, you spent a lot of time in Greenland up there.
Yes, I wish they all could be Ellesmere Island girls, I suppose you might say.
Nothing but Inuit trim.
Hell to the yes, my friends.
So tell me about the coat.
Well, on that trip, the avalanche came down like something that was ordered by gods and nature's vast majesty of terror and destruction.
Big old ball of snow coming down from the mountaintop.
Indeed.
You got caught in it?
I found myself running from the avalanche, and a companion joined me, a large polar bear. Graceful, though devilish in its undulation across the ice.
You were running side by side along with a polar bear?
Yes, and I knew at that moment that nature had pitted he and I in its game, its ever constant struggle of life and death, and I knew at that moment that he would die at my hands. And from him, I created the ability to survive. This beautiful coat that you see before you is responsible for my very life.
That's immense.
I am a large man.
It's voltaic.
Electrifying indeed. Like the call of nature. I feel it even now in your studio.
Well, thank you. I hope you got time. We're going to take a break. And
the sun across the ice.
We're going to go ahead and take a break.
The seals from around the sea line.
That's right. And the Dinner and Hell will be right back with Peter Frykin.